dall'apice della quella che sarà la griglia di partenza. I piloti stanno effettuando dei passaggi in corsia box per poi sfruttare ancora una volta i giri di ricognizione.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to a wet Monza circuit for the Ferrari Challenge Asia Pacific Race 1 of this finale Mondiali weekend. Delighted that you've joined us. Ronaldo Hutasoy going from pole position, Philippe Pret going from P2, Tani Hanna is a Shell driver. We have a mix of Trofeo Pirelli drivers and Shell drivers, and in the Shell class there is a mix between Shell drivers and Shell AM drivers as well. This is where we are then, within sight of the Alps here in Monza, though you can't see them today because of so much low cloud. The 5.793 kilometer Monza circuit for left-handers, 7 right-handers to make up the 11 turns that there are here on this circuit. A real temple of speed, that's for sure. The air temperature, as you can see, a miserable 13 degrees. The track temperature is merely 1 degree ahead of that. And whilst I think it's fair to say that it has stopped raining now, the track is plenty wet enough. And will be a real challenge for these drivers as they head out for their first race of the weekend. We were looking at the back end of the Kent Chen car, one of the Shell AM drivers, and now we're looking at the Hublot safety car, driven by former Ferrari Challenge champion Beppe Scanetti. There he is, to the right-hand side of your picture, just before the crash helmet goes on, and he will lead the cars away, of course, on their formation lap here at Monza. So this finale Mondiali weekend, something very, very special indeed in the calendar of all Ferrari enthusiasts as we look at the car of Tani Hanna. Now, Tani Hanna has raced not only in the Asia Pacific Series, where he is indeed Copa-Shell 2018 champion, but has raced in the European Series also. And you see the Ferrari Jakarta car there of Renata Hotasoy then going from pole position. There it is, the 408 car, which makes its way onto the grid. I love the Dick Dastardly logo on the side of that car. 3 pole positions in 2018. Had the privilege of talking to him yesterday during a press conference, and he's pretty confident, and that confidence showed in the qualifying session when he put the car on pole position. So some 25 cars on the grid for this Ferrari Challenge Asia Pacific race, bringing to a close what has been a fantastic season across Asia Pacific. And there the 480 car of Alex Au, another driver who was in that press conference that I hosted yesterday, leading the ranking with an 8-point margin. But an 8-point margin is not a huge margin to have, and you can hear final instructions being given by driver coach there. So the grid being formed is formed. Let's take a look at what has been a phenomenal season. Finale Mondiale 2018. And this is the venue here in Monza. And there is the 588 car of Tiger Wu. Another one with, I have to say, Asia Pacific above North America and maybe Europe as well. Some of the idents that they use on their cars are magnificent. Tiger Wu then with 3 podiums in 2018, the thumbs up. And alongside me for this race, feverishly working away on his laptop as we look at Philippe Pret, who of course used to be a race driver in the European Series. Philippe Pret, last year's champion, of course. And information, Nico, that the race control have decided that the start of the race is going to be behind the safety car. That kind of doesn't surprise me.
No, probably not. And I think the fact that these drivers are not necessarily all that familiar with Monza circuit, because they don't race here that frequently as, for example, the Europeans would, maybe plays a part in that. We already saw in the North American race earlier that there was an immediate instance, as you just see one of those.
That's me, isn't it?
Almost. Yeah, I can see the similarity. The ears, for example. Thanks. Anyway, and we already saw in the North American series that there was an incident right at the start of this very, very tricky chicane. As we can see, an animation here of this track, which I was talking about.
Yes, this Monza track has remained the only temple of speed in Europe. Long, 5,793 meters, characterized by 4 curves, 2 chicanes and 1 system of S's. And when the driver reaches the first chicane, he usually jumps over the curves, as you can see, to find the fastest trajectory. For this reason, the work of the suspension of the 488 Challenge is crucial. The tyres remain adherent to the track, thus maximizing grip, encouraging drivability and driving precision in the most technical and difficult sections. Now, one of the characteristics of Monza are the hard braking zones. The 488 Challenge's carbo-ceramic discs are able to reach, would you believe, 600 degrees temperature that ensures a high braking power and an excellent sensitivity in the sections with greater deceleration. So the circuit makes it possible to obtain a very high average speed, and this is why power plays a key role. The Ferrari 488 V8 engine with double turbo finds here the best conditions to express full torque and power, something, of course, that have always been one of the distinctive values of the Ferrari 488 Challenge. And even on Friday, the fans have flocked to Monza to enjoy this phenomenal celebration. There's a big fight in Trofeo Pirelli in the Challenge Asia. Alex Au back in the Ferrari Challenge after years. Won 3 races, races 1 and 2 at Shanghai, and also race 1 in Fuji. Looking at Ken Sato at the moment. Ronaldo Hutasoy, as I mentioned earlier on, he skipped some races but was able to put in a great comeback at Suzuki in Singapore, and after today's pole position he's only 8 points behind Au. In the Copa Shell, as we saw, Tani Hanna, who's going from P3 on the grid, has already clinched the championship with some 6 wins. Other winners have included Yanbin Xing, Eric Zhang, Vincent Wong. And if David Dicker just starts this race, he will be the champion. As we look at Negro there for Ital Auto Singapore. So we put the Trofeo Pirelli and Copa Shell cars together for this race. As we look at Tani Hanna, and Gomax in the 424 car is on the outside of Tani Hanna, which is the 557 car that you looked at then. Here's the grid in full. Hutasoy goes from P1 with Philippe Pret alongside. Tani Hanna and Gomax go from P3 and P4 with Alex Au, and Tiger Wu going from P5 and P6 on the grid. For the next 3 rows, it's Negro, Berry, Xing, Sato, Dicker, and Chen. And all David Dicker has got to do is start this race, and he will be champion. Then it's Wong, Yamaguchi, Lowe, Chan, Grant Baker, and Moon, who go from the next 3 rows with Iratani, Mack, Chang, Adas, Nagatepurna, and Kim Siri. Chim Siri, forgive me, Katerina told me yesterday it's Chim Siri, not Kim Siri, and Xiao going from P25 on the grid. From our helicopter then, you can see how this magnificent circuit unfolds within the boundaries of one of the most magnificent parks here in the Milan region, and we are just on the outskirts of Monza town centre, if you like, as the safety car goes. And the cars will follow because the start is going to be behind the safety car. So effectively, the race has started. Therefore, Nico Spalek, David Dicker gets the Copa Shell AM Championship.
Congratulations. Well done. I mean,
it's a way to win a race, isn't it? Or win a championship, rather.
Well, he's done a lot of the hard work before this point, but in truth, he put it on pole in class P11, best of the Shell AM. So even without that point for being on the grid, chances are very good that he would kind of make it across the line otherwise. So, no, well done for him. Pressure's off now, so he can follow the safety car knowing that he's done it, and he will receive a magnificent trophy tomorrow evening.
Yes, indeed, and he will enjoy the race as well. Glittering awards presentation tomorrow evening, of which I'm privileged to be a part of, and very much looking forward to that. Meantime, looking forward to this 30-minute race, which has started behind the safety car. My bet is that the safety car will stay out for 2 laps to allow the drivers to become accustomed to the conditions that greet them here at Monza. First lap will be a bit of a sighting lap. Second lap, Beppe Scanetti, who's driving the safety car, will drive a bit quicker and begin to get the drivers up to a pace which, whilst it won't be a race pace, it will be more reflective of the speed that the 488 will offer them. It's the question of being able to keep the car between the 2 white lines. As I said, Nico, going into this race, I think the rain has stopped now, but it ain't going to be during this race that the track dries out.
No, that's very unlikely. We don't have the very high temperatures in the air on the track which would just dissipate the wetness from the track. I don't think that the track is that wet, to be honest, so I think it's more getting the drivers accustomed to it.
I wouldn't want to be rolling down there.
Fair enough. Yeah, you can see on the top of the screen is the social media on screen for you while we're in the safety car. Check it out. You're not missing anything very significant, but listen to us. We'll tell you when it's time to go racing for real. Yeah, I think it's getting the drivers accustomed to it. Maybe get a little bit of the standing water from some of the patches by having the cars roll over those segments of the track 1 or 2 times. Get the drivers some sense of the visibility that's going to be around here. And then, hello?
That's the point I was going to make. No, not. Oh, look, I'm on the telly. Hello. No, the point I was going to make is visibility is critical, isn't it? Because when you've got water and the spray is coming off the back, I mean, it's nothing like as disadvantageous as if you were in a Formula car, for example. But even so, as we see the cars now heading in towards the Curva Parabolica.
Great shot.
And it's an awesome part of the circuit to go round. I mentioned in that press conference yesterday how I got my Fiat Panda rental car lit up around the Curva Parabolica in my dreams.
Yeah, I think it was my Fiat Panda that you were taking around that.
Your Fiat Panda, which indeed has a racing number on it.
Absolutely, it's number 0, reflective of my ability.
That's most unfair.
I think it's apt.
We're into the second lap behind the safety car, and I surmise that this will be the last lap behind the safety car, but I could be wrong.
Hello. Who just saw it behind? There's Vincent Wong coming into the pits. We can see it on screen, just to the right of the
Surely not going to go on to slick tyres.
I would not hope so, but stranger things have happened.
Well, stranger things have happened. Well, we've not picked that up, but you're absolutely right, and well spotted by you. Vincent Vong into the pit lane. No, clearly some issue with his 488 car, but
yeah, it's just literally beneath our commentary booth that
he's been sent out again.
Yeah. Well, yes, no, mate. Not sure about that.
There's some indecision there, wasn't there?
Yeah, not 100% sure about that.
Well, he's going to have to really get on it now to catch up with the Crocodile.
Yeah, I mean, there's still
quite a bit of the lap to do, isn't there?
Yeah, they're not really at race pace by any stretch of the imagination. No indication as of yet whether you were right about your prediction with the safety car coming in at the end of this lap, but as I said, I don't see the track being that treacherous.
And I don't see any advantage in the safety car being out any longer.
No.
You know, the guys have got to race, guys and girls have got to race in this, and therefore, I would have thought at the end of this lap, the safety car will come in. But it is only a projection from my side. We have no official confirmation of that as we look at the 519 car there. If I'm not mistaken, that may have been one of Christian Odegaard's children. Christian Odegaard, who is a Trofeo Pirelli Ferrari Challenge Europe driver. Safety car is coming in this lap.
Well done, you.
If only I had £1 for everything I've said that's been correct, I would have £1 in my pocket.
That is incorrect in this case.
So,
the Variante Ascari that the drivers go through here onto that back straight.
Which is right behind the paddock, isn't it? The paddock stretches, doesn't it, here? And, you know, there the lights have gone off on the safety car now, so that will make haste its escape. Renata Hutasoy will control the pace of the start, and no overtaking before the safety car line, Nico.
Absolutely, but it's not the race start. They will not pair up, so it won't be the Indy start, if you will, but
it's as they are because the race started some 6 minutes ago, didn't it?
Yeah, all the excitement thus far, but get ready for the real thing, which happens now, I would say.
Yep.
Green flag out.
So, the cars are on their way now. And Renata Hutasoy, and here's what I was saying about the visibility. So, Philippe Pret then, tiptoeing behind the car of Renata Hutasoy. They brake going into the first chicane for the first time of asking. And you can see the back end of the car just beginning to step out. The conditions are such that traction is still not an absolute given, as already one or two make friends with the curbs through that first chicane. They head down towards the Curva Grande for the first time of asking, really, in the race. And Philippe Pret on the outside of Renata Hutasoy now. Just taking a look at the outside. But Hutasoy defending that lead pretty comfortably at the moment. Someone has gone round, and I'm not entirely sure that wasn't Go Max. We will see in just a moment. Here, once again, Philippe Pret pursuing the race leader.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it was the Go Max car that went around completely on his own. I don't think there was any touch on it, but There's P1 and P2 who are leaving Tanny Hanna and Alex Au and Tiger Wu. Again, Philippe Pret just showing his face to the rearview mirrors. Here we can see what happened.
Yeah.
Just lost the back end of the car.
I agree with that.
So, as I mentioned then, Hutasoy and Pret are beginning to break away a bit from Tanny Hanna, who is P3. Alex Au is P4. Then it's Angelo Negro, Martin Berry, and Tiger Wu is P7. Yanbin Xing is P8. Ken Sato is P9. And David Dicker is P10. That mix of Pirelli drivers and Shell drivers, and in the Shell classification, mixed between Shell Am and Shell Pro drivers, if you will. And the first third of the race almost done and dusted, and Hutasoy now beginning to stretch his legs a bit. He's got some 7/10 over Philippe Pret. Under braking going into the first chicane. Pret is just taking a look now and keeping keen and mean. Hutasoy ahead. As they get the power on now, you can see the back end of the Philippe Pret car just skating as they try and find traction and push all those horsepower through the rear wheels in these 488 cars. Around the Curva Grande then, as our camera picks them up once again. Philippe Pret just taking a look at the inside. He's not close enough to be able to make an overtake here into the chicane, the second chicane. But what he is doing is maintaining that pressure on Hutasoy. And he's hoping that Hutasoy is just going to make the tiniest of errors, and that will be enough for Philippe Pret to go by. Now, in fairness, Philippe Pret has probably got as much experience as any of the Asia-Pacific drivers here at Monza, by dint of the fact, of course, he was a hugely successful European racer for many years, Nico.
Yes, absolutely. He has home field advantage.
Oh!
Someone who doesn't have home field advantage, that's Chan, I think, 528.
And that surely... Oh... Well, in fairness, who was it that was...
Was that Go Max?
I think it was Go Max, the returning Go Max, who quite liberally delivered Chan into the gravel. And where that car is situated, it ain't going to be recovered very easily from there because it's bogged into the gravel.
Yeah. Go Max, I think, just a little too overambitious.
Safety car, I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, no. Overambitious, trying to make up the ground that he lost previously.
So as the safety car is deployed, and forgive me, I interrupted you with that little incident that went on there. We were saying that Philippe Pret, of course, raced in the European Series, Nico.
Yes, very successfully, very consistent driver for many, many years. And for us, it's good to see him again, because we don't get to see the Asian Series as much as we would like.
Hint.
Incidentally, Alex Au, leader in the Pirelli,
yes.
He dropped 3 places just a little earlier, and we didn't see that on screen, but we saw it on our timing screen, and that obviously has huge implications for the overall standing, where Hutasoy is now definitely firmly in the lead as things stand.
Right.
Has leapfrogged Au, and his run of success has been very, very strong in the recent races, as everyone bunches up behind the safety car now, which is positioned there in the middle of the long straight. That's an amazing shot, and it gives you just an indication of how these cars can stretch their metaphorical legs on this circuit, even in these weather conditions.
It also gives you a shot of the fantastic banking, doesn't it, around the Parabolica end, you know, this historic circuit, Nico, which has so much history attached to it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one thing about this Monza circuit. The place is nice, the park surrounding it, which you can see in this shot to a degree, the circuit obviously, but it's this history, and you can still feel and see and touch that history.
And the traffic, which is legendary.
Yes. Good thing this is not a Formula 1 weekend, or we probably wouldn't make it to the hotel based on traffic.
Now, the incident involving cars 424 and 528 is under investigation. I don't think there's going to be an awful lot of investigating there, to be truthful, as far as I could call it and see. Charles Chan got right royally dumped into the gravel.
I don't think I could disagree with you there. There's the standings in the Shell M. Dicker, as we already said, he has clinched the championship. He's also leading on track, P11 overall, while Tanny Hanna is leading the shells ahead of Tiger Wu and Yangbing Zhang. Obviously, championship also went the way of Tanny Hanna already.
Yes.
So the drama is
turned back out on track, and in so doing, in the hope of being able to find his way past Charles Chan, really rather dumped Chan into the gravel, from which his car was never going to be able to return, hence the deployment of the safety car that we see now. Think that possibly Tiger Wu won't be on Charles Chan's greetings card list any longer. Already, just about, we've reached half distance, as it will certainly be half distance before the safety car comes in, because the safety car is just starting another lap, and we've got 16 minutes on the clock. And therefore, the whole of this lap to complete, which is going to take more than 60 seconds, which will take us over the halfway point. So, Renato Hutasoy then for Ferrari Jakarta in Indonesia in the 408 car, with the portrait on the side of Dick Dastardly. Charming chap, if ever he was. I have to say, that whole Wacky Races series was one I really, really enjoyed. Leader in Shell, of course, is Tanny Hanna, who is has got a cushion of 3 drivers between himself and Tiger Wu. Then it's Yanbin Xing. So the Hublot safety car then. Think that we can just see at the top of the picture how the Charles Chan car has now been recovered, I believe, and therefore it's not beyond the realms of possibility that the safety car could come in at the end of this lap.
I would bet against your predictions for the safety car coming in. I've lost a lot of money already today, so...
So Tanny Hanna then, who has Angelo Negro behind, then it's Martin Berry and Alex Au, as the tension mounts on the pit walls of all the drivers. And confirmation that the safety car is being deployed, as if we needed that. But what we don't have at the moment is any information on when the safety car comes in. Let's take a look at the challenge show right now. So the safety car makes haste to escape as, once again, this is for the record, something else I've got right today. The safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap, so we will go back to racing again. It's the opportunity Philippe Pret perhaps was praying for, because he gets a better exit out of the Parabolica. No overtaking before the safety car line, but he's put his car right alongside Renate Hutasoy. If he can maintain this, he does get the job done before they even reach the first chicane, and Tanny Hanna is looking very lively as well. This could become more of a pinch point than ever before, as we have something like 20 cars all trying to make their way through this sequence, which is the first chicane. But fingers crossed, breath held, they all seem to be getting through all okay. But Philippe Pret, he set that up perfectly at the restart, Nico.
Absolutely, he anticipated where Hutasoy would get going, would put his foot down, and I mean, as if he had mastered that, if he'd practiced that very moment, perfectly done, no hesitation, no uncertainty. Well done. David Dicker, I'm sorry, dropped a few places through that chicane. He's still leading in class, but got overtaken by some of the other drivers. Still no indication on Go Max, one of the drivers who overtook him, on whether that's going to be his position or if any penalty is coming his way.
Well, it is under investigation, and under investigation within the race. So, as Nico has identified, we should be made aware of any penalties that are going to be applied to Go Max. In the meantime, Philippe Pret, now he's been almost released by Renato Hutasoy. Philippe Pret is just getting up the road. Bear in mind the experience he has at the Monza circuit, I think, is always going to be advantageous. It was 7/10 that he'd got, and Nico, you were talking about whether any penalty would be applied.
It's on screen for you. Yeah, Go Max, no surprise there. That was a very easy job, I guess, for the people in race control to take a look at that picture, look at it again, and make a decision.
Yeah, it weren't going to be contested, was it? Let's be truthful. So the cars then, and this great shot as they make their way around the parabolica, and Philippe Pret, to be fair, hasn't increased his margin. Hutasoy, if anything, has taken a couple of tenths out of Philippe Pret. Is Hutasoy going to have a go into this chicane? He's not close enough. He, of course, will be in this invidious position in P2 of trying to hunt Philippe Pret ahead, but also trying to defend from Tanny Hanna. Whilst Tanny Hanna is in a different class, that will make no difference. In terms of the race result overall, Tanny Hanna will still want to try and get as far up the order as he possibly can. He's got a 3-place cushion before the next Shell driver, which is Jan Binzing, running in P7 at the moment. But Tanny Hanna on track, he's running in P3 and leading his Shell driver's class. Doing a very good job. Tanny Hanna, it has to be said, is another one that's got experience of this Monza circuit, because for many, many years, Nico, Monza has always been the circuit that hosts the opening round of the Ferrari Challenge in Europe.
Absolutely, and Tanny Hanna has raced extensively in Europe on this circuit, and like Philippe Pret, he knows the pinch points, he knows the small subtleties. We'll have another look. Did he cross the line first?
I think he was along. He wasn't behind, was he?
Well, certainly on our timing screen there was no position change as they came over the line. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of a second there were, but
this is where the rule is maybe a bit ambiguous, because no overtaking before the safety car line. As far as I'm concerned, when you looked at that then on that picture, Philippe Pret was alongside Hutasoy. Some parts of his car were alongside Hutasoy. He wasn't behind him.
Well, and that's probably, we'll have to dig up the sporting regulations again. If you're strictly overtaking is, I think, the second or the moment that you are
past.
front.
Yeah, okay.
But
and there were certainly other cars behind that were overtaking before the safety car line.
Well, we have no indication on our timing screen that this restart is under investigation. It might still come up, but thus far we have no indication that he was adjudged to have done anything wrong. Philippe Pret wasn't.
So the leader of Shell is Tanny Hanna, who's coming under some pressure now from Martin Berry, who kicks the back end of his car out. Martin Berry, who of course is in the Pirelli class, but Martin Berry, who is P4 in the race overall at the moment, is chasing down that Tanny Hanna car ahead of him. Here is race leader Philippe Pret. And P2 is Renato Hutasoy. Then we see the Tanny Hanna and Martin Berry battle that's going on ahead of Alex Au and Negro ahead of Alex Au at the moment.
And Au, remember, he was P1 in the overall standings in the Pirelli. He's currently P3. And remember, I said Hutasoy had taken the lead. Forget about that. It's Philippe Pret in P1 now.
Yes.
So it's that close in the Pirelli. We're certainly not going to have a decision.
I was going to say, if Pret wins this, he doesn't win the championship, does he?
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's really, really close. But absolutely, Au really wants and needs to get past Negro to collect as many points and minimize the areas he'll be in after this race if everything stays like that out front.
Well, look at that gap between Negro and Alex Au now, down from 7/10 to just 1/10. Some great racing going on in particularly challenging conditions, it has to be said, where visibility is still at a premium and where Tanny Hanna is continuing to try and take the race to Renato Hutasoy, and in turn trying to defend against Martin Berry. So 7 minutes of the race remaining, which has been started behind the safety car with one safety car intervention during the course of the race. So the start is under investigation, overtaking before the finish line.
There's no specification of a car number, so the the suspense is kept up intentionally or not by the race control.
Now, I'm confused by that because I always thought it was before the safety car line, which is different to the finish line.
Those are the subtleties which make it so interesting and sometimes a little confusing, to be honest, even for us who follow these races all season long.
We are reaching the end of the season now, and we're both extremely tired.
Don't say that.
So Tanny Hanna still showing a clean pair of heels to Martin Berry, and the Negro Owl fight continues just behind. Then it's Yanbin Zing, who's running in P7 at the moment. Tiger Wu is P8, Ken Sato P9, and Yamaguchi is P10. So rounding out the top 10 for you, 1.1 seconds is the gap that Philippe Pret has on Renato Hutasoy at the moment. Keep saying Renato Hutasoy, it's Rinaldi. There's David Dicker then, who by dint of just being out on the track has won the championship. So apologies to Rinaldi, calling his Christian name wrong. And you know why that is? It's because of the old Renata D'Amato race driver in the Ferrari Challenge. I say old, that's unfair. But it is Ronaldo Hutasoy, who is P2, having led this race, but is now 1.3 seconds behind the new leader, Philippe Pret.
There's only just over 5 minutes to go, so it's not a lot of time for those who still want to improve on their positions to do so. And yeah, visibility and spray don't necessarily make it that much easier either.
No, you're absolutely right. So no more information with regards to the investigation on the restart from the safety car. David Dicker and Chen then 1.1 seconds apart. There is the David Dicker car, who, as I mentioned, just by starting the race was going to be and become the champion. Now, Philippe Pret was very, very slow out of that chicane, just allowing Ronaldo Hutasoy to get perhaps a little bit closer. However, Hutasoy there, you can see, has set the fastest lap with a 2:03.871, but the time is running out because the clock is kicking down, and the margin of 1.2 seconds behind between Pret and Hutasoy. So Pret, Hutasoy, Berry, then it's Negro, Owl, and Sato in the Pirelli classification, or category, I should say. It's not a classification yet because we've still got 3 3/4 minutes of the race to run. Philippe Pret leading. Still no further information with regards to who is potentially under investigation. Yes, we have under investigation for the restart is Jay Chang.
Down there in P14.
Yeah, so it's hardly going to upset the. Although Chang is running in that P3 position in the Shell classification at the moment.
Yeah, but for Philippe Pret, that
Shell Am, I should say,
in his team particularly, that's going to be a sigh of relief that it's not about.
Well,
him.
I was clearly wrong, wasn't I? Not for the first time.
Well, you have to give back that pound that you got earlier, I guess.
So car 579 is going to get a time penalty of 25 seconds at the end of the race. So that is going to take him out of a podium place, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's going to drop him very, very far down because after the safety car, everyone's bunched up, and that's obviously ruining his race, sadly.
Well, rules are rules, and grip is something which was not found there by the 558 car of Kent Chen.
Philippe Pret with a new fastest lap on the previous one, but Hutasoy not far behind on the last lap, and overall it's just 6/10 between them as we have 2 more laps to go. Still everything in this race, and you can sense Alex Au probably wishing the two will have a coming together.
Yes.
And him being the big beneficiary in the championship, but I don't necessarily think that, and I definitely think that that's more than 6/10 at this stage of the lap.
I agree with you. So Philippe Pret and Rinaldi Hüttersoy then, Blackbird concessionaires and Ferrari Ciccato represented by those two cars here at Monza for this finale Mondiale weekend, and the first race of the weekend for the Asia Pacific drivers that we're enjoying out on track. And Philippe Pret with that 2:03.376, the fastest lap, and quite a lot of debris in the cooling vents at the front of both of those cars, to be honest, and neither of those cars, to my knowledge, has been off the track. It's just foliage that has fallen from the trees around this Monza circuit that's found its way onto the track and has been blasted into the cooling vents of their 488 cars. But with temperatures which are decidedly not warm, operating temperature for these 488 cars is not a problem. Tani Hanna then is trying to defend his P3 overall position from Martin Berry. Martin Berry was taking a look just before they were heading towards the Parabolica. Now, whether Martin Berry is going to be able to set a move up potentially for the next lap, and we are now on the final lap because the leaders have crossed the start-finish line.
It has to be said that this back straight, the drivers are taking a bit of an unorthodox line, because usually you...
There's a mistake from Philippe Pret. He shortcutted the chicane. Now, I don't think he'll be penalised by that, because I don't think he's gained anything by it, because he would have had to slow to avoid the pollards, which delineate that inner part of the chicane. But he was obviously carrying too much speed. That was potentially allowed Rinaldi Hüttersoy to get a little bit closer. Whether he's going to be able to find his way past, he could do with another mistake like that, truthfully. Here you can see Philippe Pret under braking. He goes wide, turns in, loses the back end of the car, and then, as I say, he has to slow significantly to avoid the bollards within the runoff area there.
Did well with that.
He did. Held that nicely. So I don't think he's gained any particular advantage, and therefore I think that will stand, won't it? I don't think he'll get penalised for going off the track there. So Rinaldi Hüttersoy then, who had the opportunity to get a little bit closer, probably didn't seize that as much as he would like. But to be fair, Philippe Pret didn't slow as much as I thought he would either.
No, I agree. There will be no penalty dished out for that, which is understandable because he didn't gain a position. On the other hand, if there had been a wall rather than those bollards, it would have been a very different question as to the effect of that mistake.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I just saw that Katica Chimsiri is back marking car.
This is the last turn.
Whoa!
Sideways moment there.
Rinaldi doing everything he could to try and close that gap to Philippe Pret, but it's done and dusted because the checkered flag awaits Philippe Pret, who takes the win from Rinaldi Hüttersoy. And Tani Hanna is going to hold on to that P3 place overall and is the winner of the Shell class. Then it will be Martin Berry, Angelo Negro, then Alex Au and Yan Bin Xing, ahead of Tiger Wu, Ken Sato. Then it will be Yamaguchi, Zen Lo, and David Dicker will finish the race P12, but it matters not because David Dicker wins the championship with that race participation. That's all it needed. So sure enough, David Dicker crosses the timing line. Here comes Jay Chang, who of course has got a time penalty to come. Is that right?
Chang, yes, definitely. 25 seconds, so he won't be P2. When it's podium time, it will be Chen and Moon joining Dicker on the podium there. Yeah. Well done. I think it was a very interesting race with some
additional drama factors thrown in for good measure.
Absolutely. And talking about drama, I'm going to give you the points in the Pirelli for tomorrow. By my reckoning, we have Philippe Pret at 175 points.
Yes.
Hüttersoy and Au level terms 174, and that changed on the final lap due to the fastest lap being put in by Hüttesoy. He took 1 point away from Pratt, put it on his own sheet, and that might at the end of the day tomorrow make all the difference. So that's going to be drama tomorrow. I mean, it's whoever of these three wins is champion. There is no question about that.
Yeah. What a race in prospect then. So, well done to the Asia-Pacific drivers in, I have to say, in very, very challenging conditions. I thought they made a very good account of themselves out there. 1 or 2 little misdemeanors, but that was all.
Very, very good, very clean race. I think it was the right decision to start behind the safety car. It gave everyone some comfort level in the conditions with the visibility, and the result was a real clean race. As you said, there were some offs, there were some contacts.
One in particular.
One in particular, yes. But overall, very entertaining race. David Dicker dominant as he has been all season. Hanna dominant as he's been all season. And then in the Trofeo Pirelli, it's everyone's guess who's going to come out on top tomorrow. I could tell you my guess, but I won't, because I'm impartial at this stage.
You're impartial at every stage.
No, I'm not sure about that. I'm not impartial to that shot. It's amazing. Here we have the results on screen for you.
Yes, confirmation. Philippe Pret taking the win from Hüttesoy. Ronaldo Hüttesoy taking P2. Tani Hanna P3. Then it was Berry, Negro, Ao, Xing, Wu, Sato and Yamaguchi rounding out the top 10. All the information, of course, you can find that at races.ferrari.com. You can see the Pirelli drivers and the Shell drivers detailed there across the first page of the timing screen. Then it was Lowe, and Dicker, wherever he finished in the race, was academic. He was going to become the Shell-Am champion and has done that as the cars are making their way into the pit lane now. There is Philippe Pret. Tani Hanna. I've had some great times with Tani in the paddock.
I like that livery.
As opposed to great times for Tani Hanna away from the circuit, which I think would be very lively indeed, and probably I certainly couldn't keep up with him on the track, and I suspect I couldn't keep up with him in a nightclub either.
Tiger Wu, I love that sticker on the side with the tiger holding the helmet. I think.
Yeah, but I made this point at the start of the program. I have to say, where our Asian Pacific friends, in my opinion, as Hüttesoy then is making his way through Parc Fermé there, where our Asian Pacific competitors, I think they really do go that extra mile with regards to the liveries on the cars.
Yeah, they're not afraid to do something which is a little
radical,
cute, a little non-standard, not afraid to be ridiculed by anyone who doesn't get it like that.
No, I agree.
Talking about highlights.
Let's take a look at them now. So as the cars prepared on the grid then, it had already been decided that the cars would start behind the safety car for race number 1, Asia Pacific style. There were thumbs up from Tiger Wu and all the other drivers as they set out in very challenging conditions. 2 laps behind the safety car, and the cars would be released. And when they were, visibility was always going to be difficult. Philippe Pret made his intentions known right from the start on Rinaldi Hüttesoy, who did his best to keep Philippe Pret at bay. However, not everyone was able to keep the cars pointing in the right direction. As you can see, problems there for that car. And then, coming back, had the audacity to clunk into the car of Charles Chan, and that meant that the 424 car of Gomax would get a drive-through penalty. This was the overtake from Philippe Pret, set up from the safety car deployment, and going into the first chicane, Philippe Pret had done enough to put himself ahead of Rinaldi Hüttesoy, which makes the Pirelli Championship even more nail-biting, if you will, because the points difference between Ps1, 2 and 3 is merely a point at the end of the race where Philippe Pret had a heart-stopping moment, and the damage caused to the front of the 424 Go Max car saw a retirement for him. But Philippe Pret would take the win from Rinaldi Hutasoy and Tani Hanna, who did a great job to finish the race, P3 overall, for the best of the Shell drivers. And as I say, in the Trofeo Pirelli class, well, the fight is going to be magnificent for race number 2. Drivers all posing there in the Parc Fermé area, and they'll be sent up to the podium for trophy presentations momentarily. So with Brolly's still up, is the rain coming down again? Well, after the podium, we will find out. In terms of the Pirelli classification then, Philippe Pret, Rinaldi Hutasoy and Martin Berry then, P1, 2 and 3 with Negro, Ao, Sato, Lowe and Go Max, who of course we saw the car in the pit lane just a few moments ago smoking in places where it shouldn't be smoking, truthfully.
I like that podium jingle there. I don't like that it has all the shots from Monza there in brilliant sunshine.
Yes.
It's a stark contrast to what we are witnessing here.
Yes.
Well done, you. Getting mugged.
Yes, that was almost quite aggressive, wasn't it? So the drivers have been hustled off up to the podium. We've got a podium for the Pirelli drivers, a podium for the Shell drivers, and a podium for the Shell AM drivers. All to come, though whether we will have the transmission time to show all of the podiums remains to be seen. It depends how quickly it is in terms of getting the podiums orchestrated. It's always very difficult after a driver has been successful in a race to sort of point him in the right direction of where he needs to go, because he's spending his time celebrating his success. So there we can see the show cam featuring the car of Kazuki Yamaguchi. And you can hear the podium being revved up as we speak. And Philippe Pret will jump to the top step of the podium. Rinaldi Hutasoy to his left-hand side. So the Pirelli podium, and it is Philippe Pret, Rinaldi Hutasoy and Martin Berry that we can see up there on the podium. Good camaraderie between the drivers as Alessandro Pierguidi makes the trophy presentation, the Ferrari official GT driver making the trophy presentation to Martin Berry. Next up, James Collado making the trophy presentation to Rinaldi Hutasoy. And then in comes Davide Rigon to make the trophy presentation to Philippe Pret. And Teo Meyer from Pirelli Motorsport, who invited me to lunch today. However, such was my busy broadcast schedule, wasn't able to take up his invitation. So apologies to my friends at Pirelli. They're the Trofeo Pirelli drivers pose for the photographs. And now, come on, Philippe Pret. See, I think where Ferrari are quite clever here is that they remove the corks from the bottles before the celebrations, which means you cannot see this magnificent way of opening the bottle that a number of Formula drivers do, where they almost smash the bottle into the podium, which causes the... I'm going to be quiet now because I'm not going to explain this very well. Is there a better way of explaining it, Nico? They sort of bosh the bottle, don't they, in the cork. Turn your mic on, we can all hear.
Thank you. It's like bump and pff and spray, and
Yeah.
it's magnificent, as you said.
I think it's magnificent. And in my opinion, the leading exponent of that was one Mr. Lando Norris,
He was good at that.
who, of course, makes his Formula One debut next year.
I think it's only down to the champagne craft. No, he's a good racer as well.
Yeah,
but the champagne moments are
Legendary.
absolutely.
Right, here we go with the next trophy presentation. And there is Tanny Hanna to the very back of that queue of drivers, the Shell drivers' podium.
Well done, sir. Nice livery too.
Yes, that's one of your favourites, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yanbing Singh.
And with his scarf, traditionally, Tanny Hanna on the top step of the podium. Not for the first time this season. Oh, I say. For a man of his years, you know. Alessandro Pierguidi once again making the trophy presentations. First of all to Tiger Wu. And then Yanbing Singh will be on the receiving end of his trophy from James Collado. And Tanny Hanna will receive his winner's trophy from Davide Rigon. So the drivers all pose for the photographs. Slow and deliberate, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was very conscious about what he was going to do. No hesitation, but no hesitation there either. Great shot. And in that case, the rain really, the water coming off of those cars really makes it extra special.
Yeah, yes, I agree. Confirmation then of the classification for Shell Ams. David Dicker, just by starting the race, it was enough for him to seal the victory in terms of the championship. Then it was Chen and Moon who took P2 and P3, and whom we will be seeing up on the podium along with David Dicker as well. That will be, to the best of my knowledge, the last of the podiums from that Asia-Pacific race.
Yeah, all good comes in three, so 3 podiums.
Indeed.
Oh, I have to say, I really cannot wait for that race tomorrow, because it's really going to be a smash hit out front.
It is going to be nail-biting. So Michele Mambrelli is the presenter, you can see to the left-hand side of your picture, who's inviting the drivers out there for their last podium of the Asia-Pacific Race 1. Of course, we'll most likely see Kanticha Chimsiri on the podium as well as being there as well. Sorry, I didn't explain that very well, did I? But sure.
Lady trophy.
So, Kantichik Chimsiri there, being the quickest of the ladies. First of all, Alessandro Pierguidi makes the trophy presentation to Andrew Moon. James Collado. And then this man, of course, by dint of just starting the race, wins the championship and receives his trophy from Davide Rigon. Well done, David Dicker.
I was about to say, give that lady a trophy as well.
Indeed, there it is.
She deserves it.
Presented by Alessandro Pierguidi.
If I may say, she looked the happiest of the three.
She was. I had the privilege of talking to her in the press conference yesterday, and really enjoyable chat we had as well. What? David Dicker, you've just won the championship. How can he exit the podium like that, Nico?
Well, maybe he has some appointment. He said he'll bring a bottle of Veuve Clicquot, and well, there was one standing and waiting for that, and he said, "Well,
it didn't happen, did it?"
I'm wet enough from the rain now. I don't need the champagne.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Well, there we have it then. Asia Pacific Race 1 done and dusted. Race 2 tomorrow is going to be a must-see race. Thank you for watching from Nico and me. Bye-bye for now.